We have a pretty interesting story that I think will kick off the show, a bit of a frustrating story, I think, for sure. And that's the news that Kamala Harris is apparently potentially considering another run for the presidency in 2028. That's per Politico. Now we all got a little bit coconut pilled, maybe drink one too many pina camalas over the last several months. But now that we're through that, now that we're in a new era, I think we can all agree that this is a horrid, horrid idea. That Kamala Harris should stay far away from the presidential nominating contest, any primary. And in fact, she should take the opportunity to pursue what she clearly wants to do, which is not politics. Am I wrong?
Yeah, whatever happened to the golden rule, the unwritten rule of American politics? Whatever happened to precedent, everyone? What happens after you lost the presidential race? You go hide under a rock somewhere. You go play golf for the next 30 or 40 years, and then you start a foundation and you build homes for people, okay? That's what Jimmy Carter did, okay? If you're John Kerry, what do? You stop running your mouth and you go to the Bahamas for a while, for maybe a decade. Nobody wants to hear from a loser. Al Gore, is he out here running his mouth, Gavin? Is he out running his trap? Not really, not for president.
Films, but he made I think he made a few documentaries.
He made a few documentaries. He didn't run for president. He never launched his hat back in the ring. He never said, maybe I should give it another go. And to Mitt Romney's credit, one of the only things I'll give Mitt Romney credit for is he did the same thing. Did you hear John McCain clamoring in 2012 that it should be him to run again? No. He rolled over and died like an American, okay? He said, I'm going back to Arizona. I'm going to bake in the hot summer sun. I'm going to look at, old ladies hanging Hooters, and I'm going to ride off into the sunset like an American.
To be fair, he was like twice the age of Kamala Harris. But I agree with you. I agree with you.
There used to be a time where people in this country had dignity, okay? There used to be a time where this country stood for honor. And instead, it's a shameless country now. It's a shameless political landscape, and people have no morals. They have no bottom. There's no end to the depths they will go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's read on, because apparently she's not only weighing another run for president, but also potentially California governor. But let's take a look. Kamala Harris has been laying low since her defeat in the presidential race, unwinding with family and senior aides in Hawaii before heading back to the nation's capital. But privately, the vice president has been instructing advisors and allies to keep her options open, whether for a possible 2028 presidential run or even a run for governor in her home state of California in 2 years. As Harris has repeated in phone calls, I am staying in the fight. She is expected to explore those and other possible paths forward with family members over the winter holiday season, according to 5 people in the Harris inner circle who were granted anonymity to discuss internal dynamics. Her deliberations follow an extraordinary 4 months in which Harris went from President Biden's running mate to the top of the ticket, re-energizing Democrats before ultimately crashing out on election night. So here's my actual opinion on this, Zach. And I agree with you. It's shameless of Kamala Harris to even float this to the media. It's shameless of Kamala Harris to even suggest that she might run for the presidency again. But I don't think she actually wants to become the president. I don't even think she really wanted to become the president last time around. She didn't run a campaign like she had much ambition in that regard. That's the weird thing about Kamala Harris. It's like she clearly does have career ambition, but it doesn't really seem like she has any actual political ambition as far as getting things done, as far as an ideological agenda, as far as asserting any ideology whatsoever, to be frank. It just seems like she doesn't really have any core beliefs. But what I do think that she wants to do with this is keep her name out there. I think that she doesn't want to feel like she is totally retreating into the wilderness, into the woods, because then she's kind of almost admitting defeat. I think this keeps her name in the ring so that the next time there is a Democratic president, she could be considered for something like attorney general, which honestly is probably the role that would make the most sense for someone like Kamala Harris, rather than a real leader of the party, if that makes sense to you. And I think she totally would get rewarded with a job like that in an upcoming Democratic administration. Why? Because Democrats love to reward losers. Look, they made what's that guy from
Emanuel?
Rahm Emanuel, but also the dude from South Carolina.
Jamie
Harrison. They made him the head of the DNC. They made they love to reward Merrick Garland. They made him attorney general, the previous biggest loser in the Democratic Party. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen to Kamala Harris. She's not going to win a nomination as far as like the actual Democratic nominee for the 2028 goes, because again, people, I think they're going to know better than to nominate her again. But do you agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from. I disagree that she'll ever become attorney general. I don't think that you take a step back like that in American politics. Once you've been the vice president, it would be an interesting maneuver to decide to be something like secretary of state or something like,
I mean, it
attorney
is
general.
I think you actually have far more power though as attorney general.
But the veneer of it is a step back, and I don't think anybody's ever been vice president and then gone to a lower cabinet position in American history. So, I mean, maybe somebody can cite an example of that, but to me, it does seem like a career regression. And for somebody who is a careerist, as we mentioned, she's going to want to move the ball forward, right? So I think she'll try and stay relevant. I think there might be a failed podcast down the line. But I don't see her ever winning another fucking election, guys. I don't see her ever winning.
That's why I was saying she would have to be appointed.
But I just don't think she will. I just don't think she'll go that route because it'll look like such an obvious failure. It'll look like such an obvious career regression, right? You've been the head of the ticket. You've been the vice president. And now you're an AG, what Matt Gaetz was just nominated for. Like, it is a step back. And what I think happens is this, guys. I think she tries and fails to find a new role in political life. I think she's going to experiment for a while, but I don't think anything takes. And the reason why is almost everybody knew that it was going to be damn near impossible to get Kamala Harris, through a regular, general election, right? Like, there was a reason why Joe Biden held on for as long as he did, and he didn't step down and, let Kamala Harris take over the mantle with a real open primary in 2020, because she wouldn't have been able to get through that. Could we all agree with that? There's a reason Joe Biden was like, absolutely not. Like, Kamala Harris isn't going to just, run away with it, at least in his view. And it turned out to be right. We all documented how poorly she did during the 2020 election primary. And I'm sorry, I said 2020 before. I meant 2024.
Yeah.
What I think
she didn't get through the 2021 either.
Right. She did so poorly. She didn't even make it to her own state. So she has limitations as a politician. Now, I thought maybe because I was delusional and I was desperate, right? After August, I was the biggest hater on the chances of the Democratic Party up until August. And I don't know why the coconut pill delusion really sparked me. I was like, I'm desperate to have optimism in my heart for a little while. And we did. For 2 months, we had optimism in our heart, and then it came crashing down. I just don't think that people are going to recover from that. I don't think that people are going to look at Kamala Harris as somebody who's capable of winning. I think you're totally right when you say that she's a manager and not a leader, which is why I don't see her winning even a California gubernatorial race, guys. I mean, she did win a Senate race, but I think the public knows a lot more about her. I think she has a lot more baggage now. And I don't think she gets through a primary or like even the jungle primary style of competition that they have in California, because somebody will challenge her and point out all of her flaws from when she was vice president, and they'll make that a problem for California. And I just don't think that I don't think it happens for her. I think she will fade off into the sunset. It's just a matter of if she goes in a more dignified fashion or not.
Interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I still think there's a very good chance that in the next Democratic administration, she gets picked for something. Like, I mean, that's what happened with Hillary. She got picked as Obama's Secretary of State, even though she was obviously the first lady, and then almost became the nominee.
Than being the nominee and the vice president, though. If Hillary had been the vice president, I don't think she would.
So you think that any role in politics other than being the president or the top of the ticket is beneath Kamala Harris, and she would turn it down because it's out of embarrassment or something?
I mean, to be honest, yes. I think her pride and her dignity are very important to her, and I think that's how you get to this level of politics. I don't think that you can rise to where she's at without a certain level of narcissism and a certain level.
Well, I agree with that,
and I think it would look like a step down to her, and I don't think people in that position of politics take steps down. But I could be wrong. I'm just saying
I mean,
my gut.
I don't know how having no power and being unemployed and then becoming attorney general or something like that.
Well, she's going to write a book and she's going to make a fortune.
I'm just saying, if you want to talk about a step down, that would be a step up, because right now she's about to be unemployed and completely out of power.
No, she was the vice president.
She is. I'm saying she's about to no longer have a job. She's about to be completely out of power.
That would be
and
her
then she's
going
down. No, I'm saying in the next Democratic administration, not stepping down right now from vice president into something else. I'm saying after 4 long years of being out of power, I think that, yeah, the prospect of being attorney general for President Pete Buttigieg or whatever would be incredibly appealing to her. That's my opinion.
I totally disagree, but time will tell.
Do you think the governor of California? Because that's the other suggestion here.
No way. I don't think she's going for governor of California because I think she'd lose. And I think that.
But do you think that would also be? Do you think that would
also
also
president for the rest of her life?
Do you think that would also be beneath her to be governor of California? Even though that's technically really
no.
I mean, damn, that's interesting. I think that powerful people want to cling on to power. I completely disagree with your worldview that she'd rather be out of power than governor of California.
I mean,
or
Obama could have
general.
become governor of Illinois, but he chose not to.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
he was
But
a young,
Obama's
powerful
actually
person.
that's true. But Obama's actually a celebrity. People actually would listen to a Barack Obama podcast. People actually would read Barack Obama's books. No one's gonna read Kamala Harris's books. She's gonna fade into irrelevance.
Well, why don't you think Hillary ran
immediately.
after 2016 again for like governor of New York?
Because she was too older. I mean, she was too old, and she'd already become senator. She'd already become secretary of state. She had already been rejected multiple times by basically everyone as far as at the presidential level. So she knew that wasn't possible anymore. But do I think she would have taken a job appointment in a Democratic administration? Yes, 100%. If Joe Biden had wanted to appoint her to something again or whatever. Like I said, I think these powerful narcissists, they want to be in positions of power. They want to be in the public eye. And honestly, Attorney General for Kamala Harris, I think makes a lot more sense than a real executive position like the president or like the governor of California, because it's in her wheelhouse and she just has to get appointed by a bunch of other rich Democratic elites. She doesn't have to win a actual popular, vote contest. She doesn't have to win an election. So I see that's, where she's probably going to go, unless you're right, unless she just wants to literally write books and go on The View for the rest of her life or something, which is possible.
She'll start a foundation. She'll start hanging out with Michelle Obama, and she'll just become a member of the elite. She'll go out with Oprah.
I mean, she already is a member.
Right,
of the
exactly.
elite.
That's why unemployment isn't really something that she has to worry about. She'll always have options. She'll always have money. She'll always be connected, and she'll always be referred to for the rest of her life as Madam Vice President. You know what I mean? So
that'll be the
always
case.
have that ego stroke.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So she doesn't need the AG, because now it's like Madam Attorney General or Madam Vice President. What do you want to be called? I think she wants to be called Madam Vice President forever.
Yeah, but also, do you want that to be the last thing you're remembered for, is being the
first woman vice president ever?
Yeah, but that's not. That's not how she's going to go down. Let's be honest.
I don't think she's ever going back into. I don't think she'll ever win another elected position.
I agree. That's why I think I think she would only get an appointment, bro. And do not underestimate the Democrats' desire to appoint their loser friends to every position imaginable.
Oh, I don't underestimate that. I underestimate Kamala's willingness to go along with that. I don't think that she will.
You think she'd rather write a book and go in The View
100%
for the rest of her life
and be Madam
than
Vice
be in
President.
politics?
Be Madam Vice President.
And be blamed for Donald Trump? That's what
I don't think anybody blames her for Donald Trump is the thing. I think a lot of people.
Yes, they do. And that's another reason why she won't actually run for the presidency. I agree with that, because she knows that people in their heart of hearts do blame her.
Well,
it's in a large part her fault that she ran a fucked up campaign and she gave us Donald Trump as a nation once again. But yeah, do I think that's why I think, like I said, the appointment thing is the way to go. But who knows? We'll see. Obviously, it's too early to tell.
Yeah, we got 4 years before we even know. I mean, it could be a Republican. Wouldn't it be scary, guys, if in 2028, after Donald Trump has 40 years, a Republican wins again? Boy, that would be scary. Then Kamala would be so irrelevant by that time.
Oof. Yeah. The thing is, though, like I said, she's not an Obama. She can't start a podcast. No one's gonna
nobody will tune in. But Hillary started a podcast and she was no Obama either.
Wait, seriously?
Hillary had a podcast. Oh yeah, dude. And they all do it, and they all get a bunch of money funneled to them for doing it. And nobody but Hillary's moms listens to it.
Hillary was still first lady. Hillary
was the vice president, the first black woman vice president.
Bro, that no one cared about. When Hillary was first lady, she was just as much the face of that administration as her husband. She was a celebrity, people in politics, at least. Kamala, the entire time she was vice president, she was ignored, she was marginalized, and she did a terrible job.
I'm just saying, I think that she wasn't start one. I'm not arguing it would be successful at all. I would say that when she launches her book, there's a really good chance that there's a podcast that accompanies it, even if it's short-lived.
I don't know, dude. She's not good at talking off the cuff.
No, she's not. But I think that I just think that that's where they all go. They all go that way. Do you know how many people who are bad at podcasting that have started podcasts because they're like, I'm famous. If Joe Rogan can do it, I can do it. And then they make a horrible podcast because they aren't that confident and they're not that good at talking and they don't have much to say.
I mean, even technically, you could say that is what happened to Obama's podcast, and Obama's is a far more charismatic celebrity than Kamala Harris could ever dream of being. Like I said, Kamala never could have won a primary like Obama
Oh,
did.
fuck no, dude. You don't have to convince me that Obama was a fucking G on the microphone. He was
I'm just saying there's a reason why
I've ever seen.
I'm just saying that the only reason I bring that up is because you mentioned that is like, oh, well, she'll just do what Obama did. And I'm like, well, Obama had lanes available to him that Kamala just does not. Like he
how
is
much
a celebrity.
That's true, but I don't think that's particularly relevant to why Barack Obama, because nobody watches the stupid shit that he puts out anyway. Nobody watches like his production company stuff. It's not like it's really moving the needle culturally.
Not true. Actually, his most recent Netflix film, the one he produced for Netflix about the end of the world or whatever, was like their #1 film.
Was he in it though?
No, but he produced it.
Well, see, that's what I mean. So how does it have to, like, how's that Barack Obama going in front of the camera and being like a salesman person? Why couldn't Kamala Harris produce something like a documentary down the line?
I mean, maybe she could. I'm just saying she doesn't have the same brand as
that's true. She does not have the Obama brand.
Netflix is not going to sign a $40 bajillion contract with the Harrises. And also, she doesn't have she doesn't have a super compelling partner. No one cares about Doug Imhoff. Like, Michelle is half the Obama brand.
I think that she could still get a shitload of money from Amazon to do something if she wanted.
Yeah, an Audible original.
I just think she could, bro.
I
think if she's like looking around and she's like, you know what, somebody's like, yeah, I'll take a tax write-off, like a WAPO collaboration with Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying, bro? That's what I imagine coming down the line.
I agree that is a possibility. I just think that is the most embarrassing path for her.
It is.
I think that Attorney General or like, Governor of California, something like that would be infinitely more like rehabilitative to her legacy, in the same way that like Mitt Romney, now people just think of him as a senator instead of the guy who lost to Obama. For a long time, Mitt Romney was the guy who lost to Obama. Now he's a senator, right? In the same way, I imagine Kamala would want to be known as the Attorney General, not the vice president who then became the nominee in a desperate coup against the Joe Biden, only to lose against Donald Trump in a humiliating fashion. Like that's not what you want people to remember you for.
Yeah, the only disagreement is that my money is on the least dignified future option for Kamala Harris. I imagine that she is circling the drain and it's not going to get much better. I don't imagine a redemption arc, even if it is the kind of, half-assed redemption of a Mitt Romney who just like, thumbed Donald Trump and voted for his impeachment as a way to make the country love him again. You know what I mean?
Yup. Good old Mitt. Good old Mitt.
Dude.